Entertainment.
Welcome to Business Over Beer, where entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people passionate about what they do bring us their stories and their favorite beer. Hosted by Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler, and Jason Knope, it's time to get down to business and drink some beer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the second biggest podcast in the Pacific Northwest. That's right. I know it's hard to believe we are still on the heels of those pesky Sasquatch hunters, but I know, Kaler, I know for a fact that this episode right here is going to bring us to the apex, and we will surpass those pesky Sasquatch hunters and reign supreme in the Pacific Northwest. That's right. This is the Business Over Beer podcast. I'm your co-host, Ben Surratt. Alongside me via the Zoom is the man of the hour, the terror of power. Some people call him the space cowboy. Some people call him Man Bun. Some people call him the King of Rock. There is none higher. The sucker MCs call him Sire, but we refer to him as Spartacus. Mr. Jonathan Kaler, happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you, Benjamin. I can't even repeat that. That was like so many words. That was
You get that
definitely
reference?
that was the longest nickname you've ever given me.
That
But
was a mouthful.
I'm just going to be called the Sire from now on. I'm down with that. Anything that has to do with being the Sire of rock and roll, I'm into that for sure. I'm not happy we're back on Zoom, but I am happy. The reason we're back on Zoom is because we've got an awesome guest, and he's not in our geography. So we had no choice. We either had to travel there, which we didn't have time to do, or we had to hook him up on Zoom. So I'm excited for that. And speaking of things I'm excited about, with us as always is the gift that keeps on giving. He is the gangsta of Hazeldale. Are you guys down with the KNOPP?
Yeah, you know me.
Jason Knope, welcome to Business Over Beer, my friend. How you feeling tonight?
You know, I'm feeling fantastic. The weather's great. The only thing that could be better is if we were all together somewhere outside in this beautiful sunshine, drinking beer or whiskey, if you prefer. But
I definitely prefer.
yeah. So tonight we're hanging out with Iggy Odighizuwa.
Yes.
Systems by Design.
Yes, you nailed that.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We're so happy to have you. I referenced that you don't live in the Pacific Northwest anymore, but that's fairly recent, right? You were here in Vancouver just until recently, right?
Yeah, we just moved out here 2 months ago now. So it's actually, we're still getting settled in.
Awesome, man. Well, we miss you here in the Pacific Northwest, but we're excited to find out what you're up to. And so with that, we always like to start with your business. So maybe just give us the 50,000 foot view of your business and kind of what you're into.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple businesses, but the one that's really our main focus right now is Systems by Design. And we are like a software consulting company for health and fitness professionals who are looking to take their business online and grow it. So we specialize in marketing, building client acquisition systems, building delivery systems, and building operating systems for health businesses. But really the application for our software is also for any small business. But right now our main focus is health and fitness professionals, because I am a health and fitness professional. So I know the industry very, very well, and we're able to help our clients take their business online and grow it to the level that they want.
Awesome, man. Well, that setup leads perfectly into a lot of the questions that I have about your business, and I know that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be really valuable to other small business owners that you're going to talk about as we get into it. But this is the Business Over Beer podcast. This is the beer portion of the program. We ask all of our guests to bring a beer to share, but of course, you are in Tennessee, as you mentioned, so you didn't have a chance to bring a beer to share, but you got with Ben earlier and you picked a beer for us to share. What is that beer?
That is the whiskey, the wisdom seeker. I got whiskey on my mind.
You do.
That was perfect. That could not have been any better because you shared.
I'm
with
a
us
whiskey seeker.
That's right. You're a whiskey seeker.
That's good.
But y'all are drinking wisdom seeker.
Awesome. From the Black Raven Brewing Company. For
Yeah.
those of you who are diehard fans of the show, remember we had a Black Raven beer when we talked to Columbia Credit Union and Eco Digital just a couple episodes back. So
That was the first time I ever had that brewery's beer too.
I'm not familiar with this brewery much at all until then. So I'm excited to have this beer. Yeah, you shared with us you're not a big beer drinker. You're more of a whiskey drinker.
Yeah, I'm more of like a whiskey and wine. I prefer wine long term as far as like consistency. But every once in a while, if I get a good whiskey, I'm definitely a fan.
And you have a celebration coming up tomorrow, I understand. Is that right?
I do. I mean, some people celebrate it. For me, it's really not much. It's kind of like another day, but it is my birthday tomorrow.
Awesome, man. Well, happy birthday. And,
Happy birthday, Iggy.
I hope you get to enjoy some whiskey and wine. We'll have you back when we do the whiskey and wine over business. Business over whiskey and wine? I don't know.
The bow.
Business over whiskey.
There you
Business
go.
over beer has a better ring to it.
So the Wisdom Seeker from Black Raven. This is a limited release double IPA. It's a beautiful looking beer.
It is pretty.
I can't wait to get into it. Gentlemen,
Prost.
Iggy, thanks for being here. We really
Thanks,
appreciate
Iggy.
it.
Bottom up.
Nope, you choked on it. Jeez.
He said bottom up. And I laughed. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen for me.
Whoa.
Not with this one.
Whoa.
How is it? Is it smooth? Is it tasty?
It's delicious.
It's really good.
So here's what the can says. The can says, and I think I believe them, and I think they do it in this order. It hits your mouth in this order: bitter, citrus, herbal, hoppy, bold.
In that order. Yeah.
And I think in that order, that's exactly the stages of drinking you go through with this beer. So
that's pretty cool.
Got some on my nose.
Wow. There is so much going on in that beer. It is so super bitter. The citrus almost gets a little bit lost in the bitterness and the hoppiness.
But it disappears fast. It doesn't linger. The bitterness doesn't linger in my palate.
Oh, it doesn't? See, it does for me. See,
no, I don't get
it in mine.
See, it's up around the sides, like the back sides of my mouth is just still tingling with all that hop. It's almost resiny. That's the herbal. It's kind of that's that herbalness to it.
Yeah, that's a main quality of beer that I'm not a great fan of. That bitter.
Yeah.
That bitter taste.
Iggy, you would hate this beer for sure.
Yeah, you would hate it.
If you don't like beer, you would for sure hate this beer, like extra.
Yeah. So Iggy, we met. When was that? A year and a half ago. 2 years. 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
And I was about 250 or hitting 250, close to 250 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Did I just reach out to you? I forget how we met, but
I don't remember. I think you did reach out to me. I think you saw like one of my posts or something on Facebook, and then you
That's
ended
what
up
it was.
reaching out.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I need help. I'm not sleeping well. I know that my body is, I'm tired all the time. And you're like, yeah, I can help you. And you did. But it went beyond that. Like your program is very different, the Iggy Fitness. Can you just talk a little bit about Iggy Fitness and how you got into that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my love. I love health and fitness. I got into it around 2000, I like professionally in like 2011, 2012. And I got into it because when I stopped playing sports, I lost my identity. I started working, started going to school full time, and I let myself get like 35 pounds overweight. And I just lost like the essence of who I was. And so I tried like many different things, but it wasn't sustainable because I was used to training so much as an athlete. But when you get into the real world, shocker, you can't spend 8 hours a day just training and being in phenomenal shape. So I got into it because I wanted to figure out a way to sustainably take care of myself, get into good shape, and then just kind of get my mojo back. I wanted to feel like a stud again. And so that's kind of what led me into the industry. And then when I discovered, what it really takes to get into shape, and how like your mindset, your spirit, and like your soul, all those different things play a part in it. I wanted to develop a program that really served to help people in their innermost being, make it more than just like getting in shape, but it's about, figuring out what's going to work for you, what you enjoy, how can you achieve a real holistic and sustainable transformation, right? So that you don't have to give up the beers if you enjoy it.
Mhm.
You don't have to give up the foods that you like to eat, but learning how to do it in a way that's in alignment with what you value and where you want to be. And so that was the birth of Trial 180 Coaching, or my Iggy Fitness brand. And since then, it's been awesome, right? It's been crazy, like the amount of lives that have been changed as a result of it.
It's awesome. And you do a lot with entrepreneurs and small business owners too, right? That's the one thing with your program that I really that's why I picked your program, is because you understood that the entrepreneur and the small business ownership mentality is all over the place, and the time is all over the place. So
Yep,
your program is all about your schedule and getting what you want out of it, knowing what you want out of it, and then placing that program to you, specifically for you, the
exactly.
individual.
Because I mean, my motto is you got to get it in where you can fit it in. And this is, as an entrepreneur or business owner, you don't have like a traditional schedule, right? You can't like easily clock in and out. Your life is crazy. And I know for me, I live it. So you can't be rigid in how you approach your health, because it's not going to fit into the traditional schedule that most people want to have, where like, oh, I got to get up at this time and go and hit the gym. Sometimes you're just tired and you can't do it. So it's just like, how do you fit it into your busy lifestyle? And how do you play this game where you are able to fit it in, and still achieve the results that you want in a way that's sustainable? So that's what I really pride myself on, is the fact that we do take time to make sure all of our programs for the professionals that we work with is really tailored to their schedule, it's tailored to their life, and it's easy for them to implement into their lifestyle.
And when you started back in 2012, it was all like in-person personal training, right? And classes and trying to build your business that way.
Yeah.
Were you sort of aligned with a gym, or were you doing this from, did you have your own studio, or kind of what did that look like for you when you first started in 2012? And the reason that I'm asking is I just want to I want to kind of set the stage for the transition you made going from that business to kind of where you've gone since then.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy. I was fortunate enough to experience early on success in my career as a personal trainer. I started as a trainer at a university working with athletes, um, and making good money doing that. And it was something I was really passionate about because I was an athlete, so I could easily relate to the athletes. And then when I eventually ended up moving out of the area that I was in and started training people more locally. And it's around that time where I really started to find that I also enjoyed working with entrepreneurs and people who had really hectic lifestyles. And so I started working as a personal trainer out of an LA Fitness at first, getting clients there, and then transitioned to an independent gym. Actually, there's like a little break where I was not in the industry full time, but I eventually ended up in New Jersey. And New Jersey is where my personal training business really took off. I ended up being in a small town, and it turned out to be a ton of professionals in the town. So I ended up doing 70 to 100 personal training sessions per week is where the business kind of blew up to. So it was insane. It was insane. I was like getting up at like 4:00 in the morning, going to the gym, training clients back to back to back to back. I'd get like a 2-hour break and then back to back to back to back. It was nuts. It was not sustainable. I do not recommend it to anybody.
Bro, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so that was when I started to experience a little bit of burnout. And I was like, man, there's got to be a more efficient way for me to really help people, right? Because my clients were really heavily dependent on me. So if I didn't show up, they weren't really going to be there. So I was like, how can I really help people, educate them in a way, and give them the tools to be able to sustain the transformation themselves? So it wasn't a situation where if I'm not available, they're all of a sudden stuck. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so is that still that pandemic aside, or maybe not pandemic aside, is that still sort of the primary business model for a personal trainer, an independent personal trainer, is to team up with a gym and try to do these individual sessions back to back to back every day, all day? Is that still the typical model for how you make money and run that PT business?
That's how most trainers do it. And even the trainers that get to the level that I was at realize that it's not even worth it. Even though you're making really good money, you just don't have time to even enjoy it. All right. So most trainers are still stuck in that model, trading their time for money, which anybody who knows, like, your time is way more valuable. You can always make money, but you can't get your time back.
Amen to that.
So somewhere around like 2015, you got to a point where you're like, this is crazy. And you wanted to sort of shift your focus away from what you were doing and start more coaching type business and try to shift some of that online. Do I have that timeline about right, and kind of where you were at that point?
Yeah, around 2015, 2016 is when I started looking for how I can make my operation more efficient. So I developed like a system that I would essentially take my clients through to make it more efficient for me to train them. I'm a workhorse, so I'm gonna work as hard as humanly possible until I just can't do it anymore. So if you hear like a squeaking in the background, it's my little puppy. He found his little toy. So
it's not the first puppy squeaking in the background of one of our episodes, man. It's all good.
I just figured you were nervous and you had some sort of ball you were squeezing.
If it gets out of hand, I'm gonna take it from him. But I'm gonna take it from him. But so I was looking for ways to make it more efficient, and provide our clients, a ton of support. And I was able to get it as efficient as I possibly could, but there was still the need where the focus really needed to be on equipping the clients to be able to sustain the transformation themselves. And it was around 2017 when I made that shift from really doing in person and went all in on figuring out this thing, like, how can I build a coaching model and really help people online and help people remotely and get them better results doing that than I was in person.
Talk about the first coach that you hired when you first started working towards this transition. I read one of your bios here. It says you got played by somebody who on the surface looked like exactly what you were after, and it turned out to really be a setback for you. Talk a little bit about that experience.
It was rough. It was really rough because I was desperate, and I was looking for a solution. And this guy really knew how to market. And that was really the biggest thing. Is like he really knew how to market. And that's the thing that's difficult with online is you don't really know who to trust. So you got to trust what you see. Right. So I ended up hiring this guy and he made some bold promises like, we're going to give you all the systems that you need. We're going to do all these X, Y, and Z. Everything's going to be handed to you on a silver platter. And for me, I was like, oh, shoot, like, I know as far as business goes, I know like if I have the systems, that's pretty much all I need. Once I have the systems, then it's just a matter of like strategy and figuring that out. I was like, man, if you can help me build the systems and I don't have to do that, that's going to be awesome. So I bought into this program, I hired him. And as soon as I started going into his service, I quickly realized this was nothing like what he described, like at all. So that was my first experience working with a coach online. And it just left a terrible taste in my mouth. I was disappointed. I almost gave up. But it lit a fire in me that I was like, you know what, how I feel right now, I want to make sure none of my clients ever experience this feeling where they feel like they just got taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. All right. So I made sure I went out of my way to do everything with integrity, put a ton of time into the program to make sure that it was top notch, that from the time somebody started working with me, they're like, wow, I can tell this guy really put a ton of time into this. And this is a labor of love. Like this is legit. So for me, it turned out to be a great thing because it sets the bar for what I do not want to do. Right. I was like, everything about this, I'm going to go completely against it and make sure that what I do is going to be completely different, and how I make my clients feel is going to be a night and day difference from how I felt working with that coach.
Well, what it does, especially for a relatively new business owner, I mean, it really gives you that center point, that North Star to always kind of come back to and say, and try to remember that feeling that you had. I mean, it's such an important part of the process of starting a business or growing a business, of encountering that thing that says, nope, that is not what I'm about. And I'm going to do everything I can to try to make sure that that I'm not that for anybody that I work with going forward. So tough experience, but I'm sure it was probably in hindsight an extremely valuable experience in helping you get to where you are now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's some of my best lessons that I've learned has come from that. I still look back and I think about it, I'm like, man, like I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't go through that experience, like that feeling of just being grossly underwhelmed by a service that I paid a premium price for. It's like, man, like I never want anybody to ever feel this way.
Yeah. It's almost like you should thank them. Send them a thank you card. You know what? Thank you so much for burning me, because I am better now.
Absolutely.
Of you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because it's almost like we all go through it. Even your puppy's gone through it.
Sounds like his puppy is still going through it.
Yeah, it's tough.
His puppy's gonna be on business over puppy chow here in a couple weeks. Going, man,
he's upset that I took his thing away.
we all get mad when people take our thing away.
Yeah. Now he's looking for it. So hopefully that keeps him quiet for a little bit.
So you are not from here. Are you born in America though? Where were you born?
I was born in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Hey, yeah, there we go.
I'm like all over the place. I was born in Ohio. I lived in Virginia. I lived in Nigeria for like 5 years. And then I was in New York for a little bit. Then I was in Portland. and then I was in LA for like another 7 years. Was in New Jersey, Washington, and then now I'm in Tennessee.
Jeez. And you have a lot of siblings. How many siblings do you have?
I only have 3 siblings. I don't feel like it's a lot because I mean, my girl has 7 siblings and my dad has 23 siblings and my mom has
That's it.
17
Wait,
siblings.
what?
That was it.
Wait, what?
It. Yeah.
Say
Yeah.
that. No, come on. You're exaggerating.
No, dad has like 23 siblings. My mom has 17 siblings. So for me, having 3 siblings, I'm like, yeah, that's not a lot of people at all. It's like nothing compared to.
That's what I meant. I knew it was something. I knew it was something like that.
I have a massive family. I have a ton of uncles, ton of aunties, like a ridiculous amount of cousins. We're enough to be a small army.
Like I said, my math isn't very good, but somewhere in the neighborhood of like 40 plus spouses.
That's
Holy
crazy.
shit. That's insane.
That's nuts. So do you
There's a good party in there somewhere?
Oh, right. A lot of whiskey.
That too.
Do you have but is athletics and physical, is that in your family? Is that run in your family? Do you have like sports in your family?
Me and my brothers were the first generation in our family that was really into sports. My family, I mean, we have pretty good genetics. All the men on my mom's side, like literally every single male on my mom's side is over 6 foot. I'm about average.
Did you notice he's showing his arms? He
Yeah.
He very strategically put his arms up when he said that he's got good genetics. My goodness. He's got his one arm is bigger.
Natural. That's his natural.
One arm is bigger than both of my arms combined. Holy gosh.
I'm sorry,
yeah,
guys.
but I mean,
I got to get out of here. I got to go to the gym. I'll see you all later.
I'm just gonna put this beer off to the side for a minute and go do.
I got an app for that. I got you.
Sweet. I'm gonna need it.
He's like, "Do you have my business card? Maybe you should take it."
You can send it to me.
But yeah, so our family, my brothers are the first ones that were really into athletics out of all of our families. But everyone's really tall on my mom's side, and then all the men on my dad's side are just like average height and just stocky, just broad shoulders and skinny legs, and just big up top. They're top heavy. So it kind of worked out perfectly to where me and my brothers are tall and we're generally like pretty beefy.
Now you had a brother in the NFL, right?
Yeah. My older brother was he got drafted, went 3rd round, played for the Giants, and then also played for the Bills. My youngest brother is actually looking like he might go 2nd or 3rd round in this draft in a couple weeks.
What?
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Where did he play his college ball?
UCLA.
That's awesome, man. And what did you play?
I played football. I got injured before I got a chance to take an athletic scholarship. And then I had an opportunity to go back and play again, but I just wasn't into it the same way that I used to. After I got injured, I just lost the passion for it.
Do you think there's a place for young athletes to learn kind of what you're doing and learning small business ownership, entrepreneurship? Because sports isn't forever. I mean, no matter what.
Absolutely.
Is there a spot for that? Like, is there a way that you could fill that gap somehow? Maybe, I don't know.
It would definitely be a passion of mine to be able to do, because I think it's important. I was fortunate enough that I got into in high school, I got into something called Enterprise Academy, where you learn to have like successful entrepreneurs from all around the country fly in and take you through the simulation on how to build a business, how to create a business plan, how to do forecasting, how to do market research, all these different things. These are things that are still used to this very day. Like that completely changed my life in terms of entrepreneurship and gave me a little taste of it and helped me and planted a seed that is what it is now on, if you want to build a future, entrepreneurship and owning a business is really a powerful path that you can set yourself up on to do so. So I would absolutely love to be able to fill that gap and teach it. Just a matter of figuring out what's gonna be the best way to do that.
It just seems like there's a need for that.
There is. And then you learn so much more about yourself too as an entrepreneur, especially as a young man. You realize what's important to you. You have to make sacrifices to get to where you want to be, and then you have to decide whether you want to operate with integrity or if you want to cut corners. And if you do cut corners, you suffer the consequences of it, and you really forces you to develop your character, get coaching, and grow as a human being, so that you can be the man and be the leader that you need to be to take your business to where you want to go.
Amen.
Man, that is awesome. And I really want to get into systems by design, because your business appears to be thriving. The way you guys are going about your business and what you're doing, particularly in the pandemic sort of climate that we're in, is really cool. So I want to leave plenty of time to talk about that venture, what you guys are working on, how you're helping people in the fitness space. But before we get there, Ben, you look a little thirsty.
I'm empty, which means, yes, I am thirsty.
I knew it. Join us next week for part 2 of this episode. You can be sure we'll be talking more business and drinking more beer. Business Over Beer reminds you to always drink responsibly. Our theme song is Idiocracy by Christian Leo. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Business Over Beer, a TH3 Entertainment production.